Let me tell you one secret of prayer. Until your prayer is secret, until your prayer is prayed alone without the knowledge of others, you have not begun in the real transaction of prayer. Romans 8 verse 20 says, let's read together everybody. Likewise the Spirit also helpeth our infirmities. So I started to wonder, so what is it that God has perceived as our infirmities? I thought that our infirmities should have been cancers. You see, because if you look at the word infirmity, it's actually affliction, sickness or disease, infirmity. Okay, that's the meaning of the word infirmity: affliction, disease, sickness. All right, so he says, for the Lord helps. So the Spirit of the Lord helpeth our infirmities. So who is the Spirit of the Lord? Or of course the Spirit of the Lord is the Holy Ghost. Now you all know that when Jesus introduced the Holy Spirit, he called him the third person of the Godhead, where he described his purpose as our helper. It says, I will send you another helper, Jesus said. And if you look at the Greek word helper, it's called parakletos. Parakletos means a helper. Parakletos means a standby. You see, a parakletos means a counselor, one that is there as a support system. Now, he will not pray for you, but he will help you to pray. He will not live the righteous life for you, but he will influence, he will help, he will try to influence you to live righteously. He will not live a holy life for you, but he will provide the fire, the atmosphere, the principles on how to cultivate the holy life. A helpmate only supports but does not do the real job. Now you are to do the job, and the Holy Ghost is to help us. Are you hearing me, sons of God? Now, but the Lord identifies an infirmity in us. And what is that infirmity? Because I was like, okay, oh, that's going to be cancer. The infirmity is going to be cancer. It's going to be diabetes, heart condition, and whatever sickness that you can call off. They are all infirmities. These are things that cause us that distress our bodies, right? So now I thought that these things that Paul had said was these infirmities, but I realized that the Bible didn't call these things infirmities. There was one infirmity that was identified in us. So when I was wondering, so why? Does it mean that God does not care about other physical bodily infirmities that we go through? Cancers are killing many people. Diabetes is all over. Pastors are dying daily of cancers. Many are suffering with stroke and high blood pressure. Aren't these more of an infirmity than the very ones, or than the one that Paul wrote about? I was wondering. So when I read further to realize what was that infirmity, I realized that infirmity, according to the word of God, was that we do not know what to pray. That's the infirmity. So I now realized by the Holy Ghost that one infirmity is the reason of the rest of the infirmities. Get the head, get the source. Are you not hearing me? Kill the shepherd and scatter the sheep. You want to get the sheep? Get the shepherd. You want to get the neck, the hand, the heart? Don't worry about this body. Just take the head off. Once you get the head off, the rest of the body will die. It doesn't matter who you are. So if we behead you now, boom, this hand will stop working. The heart will just stop beating. Are you hearing me? Every part of your body will die instantly because your head has been cut off. So the head of all infirmities is that we do not know what to pray. So in a sense that the Spirit helpeth our infirmities. What is the infirmity of infirmities? Praying amiss, setting your affection on the things of this earth, seeking the things of this world instead of the things above. So this is the flaw. This is the impediment of the human nature. This is the infirmity of the human nature. This is the gross ignorance embedded on human nature. This is the problem. Once you get it right, cancers will not survive in your bloodstreams. Sexual sin will not survive in your bloodline. Sin, afflictions, aging process will end. Oh God, teach me thy will. Help me to pray according to your will, not according to my wants, not according to my desires. My desire is filthy. My cravings are ungodly. He said, for we do not know what to pray for as we ought to, but the Spirit itself maketh intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. So that means the intercession of the Spirit in us is felt by us by a groaning. So the expression of this intercession that the Holy Ghost makes in us comes by the roar. So one of the ministries of the Spirit of God is to pray in us, and we are to unleash the content of that prayer by the groanings of that intersection. So that means every believer must always search out on the inside of his belly where the groaning is. Sometimes it's a sound that comes like this. That's why prayer is an exclusive act. Jesus always asks us to go into our closet, go into your secret room and pray, because you don't know what sound of the Spirit will be awoken on the inside. You don't need everybody to see it. You lock your door. I am looking for those who truly can pray without announcing it. I'm looking for a generation or a people who can truly pray without telling us on Facebook, I just fasted for 7 days. I want to hear somebody who truly does it secretly and no one ever heard about it. Because the moment it is announced, 50% of the glory has been received by you. Let me tell you one secret of prayer. Until your prayer is prayed alone without the knowledge of others, you have not begun in the real transaction of prayer. It's just you don't know my secret. You don't know who this man is. I can't tell you how much I pray. Why should I say it on the pulpit? I could be lying, so I don't have to tell you. But the results will announce it. The results will announce it. Hallelujah. I said the results. He said, pray in the secret, for your heavenly Father heareth you, and he shall reward you in the open. Secondly, Jesus is our perfect example. He is the perfect first fruit of our faith. He is our sample, the first sample of our faith. Jesus never prayed before men. Show me in all the synoptics, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they are the synoptics. Show me one place Jesus prayed before men. Not 95% of the times Jesus didn't even pray amongst his disciples. By the time they've closed for the day, they will go back to the mountains, to the wilderness, and then Jesus will leave the 12 and then go away from them. When he goes away, the Bible says he will pray all night. At least we had glimpses into how he prayed. One day, Jesus decided to allow his 3 major disciples join him. Their names were Peter, James, and John. He said, come and see what I do. And when they got there, where Jesus usually excludes himself, they saw him praying, and then there was a cloud of heaven. Light came. Moses came, Elijah came, and they were interacting with Jesus. Don't you know that prayer is access to realms? Wake up. When you begin to develop a genuine prayer life where it's between you and Yeshua, something can happen there one day. Where is your secret room of prayer? None of you, most of you don't even have. It can't be your room. Your room is where you sleep. There must be a place that you know when you open that door. Yes, of course, we pray constantly. Yes, we can pray in tongues. We can do whatever we're going to do all the time. It's beautiful. But there should be a time that you dedicate an exclusive room that when you enter it, it's a place to roar, a place to intercede, a place to search out the sound of the Spirit's intersections that will emit into your power of tongue by raw groanings. You say, where is the urge? Where is the urge? Oh, I feel it in the kidney. I feel it in this chamber of my belly. I feel it in the upper chamber of my spirit. Where is the deposit of the groanings of the Spirit? Shabilo, Retimalo. Where is the intercession of the Holy Ghost deposited in my belly as the groaning of the Spirit? That's what we do in the secret place. That's what when we enter the secret place, we are searching for the download of the intercessions of the Spirit, searching for that urge searching for the direction of the Spirit. That's what the Bible calls watch and pray. It didn't say pray and watch. Rather watch. What do we watch? We begin to search out. Where is the deposit? Where are the downloads of the Spirit's intersections in the belly? Shavahira, Litmina, Evelishasia. It can be one sound. One sound. You hold the sound for 2 hours. You hold that sound because that one sound carries fire. It carries the approval of the intercession of the Spirit loaded in your belly. Shiloh. We are to intercede for nations. We are to intercede for the establishment of His kingdom. Nothing about prayer concerns your personal consumption. It is for the advancement of God's will. For God has deposited the way, the principles for the establishment of His kingdom through the routing, through the principles of prayer. Sir, you buy your car by the route of purchases. Kingdom is established in nations by prayer. The will of God is done in nations by prayer. Wake up! Wake up! Melito Parada Sheseida. The ministry of Jesus was a success because He was a man of 95% prayer and 5% to ministry. Where is your secret room of prayer?